Hello and welcome to the Bookish Rambles podcast with me, Holly.
And me, Becky.
Today we are talking about another book, but this time it's one who we don't know the author of, and I don't think that she would be capable of coming on the podcast, I'll be honest. Is she dead? I'm assuming she's dead because...
She died in 1973.
Oh my god, okay, yeah, so a bit before our time. But it's Rebecca by Daphne Du Maurier, which... what did you end up rating it in the end?
3 stars.
I think... I'll double check, but I think I gave it like a 3... I think it was a 3.75. Because I'll be honest, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it picked up in the second half, I guess, of it, like towards the end.
Yeah, the first half. Oh my god, it was difficult to get through.
Do you know what? The bit where they were in Monaco, that was quite boring, I think.
It was like, oh, we're going to drive to this place here. Oh, I'm going to ask you to marry me. Oh, okay. What do I tell the lady? It's like Regency romance, which I'm not a fan of. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah,
It's like, Mr. Darcy hasn't proposed to me yet.
It was so, like, different than... And then the second half, when she was... Okay, so the main character doesn't have a name, which is, like, a purposeful thing, because she's supposed to be... Well, she sees herself as a replacement to Rebecca, who is the main man's ex-wife who died. That's how he's... She didn't, like, divorce him and then die. She died in quite, like, mysterious circumstances. It is later revealed that he killed her. Which, to be fair, I was kind of expecting. But I think, like, it's the point is that, like, she sees herself as the new Rebecca. The inferior Rebecca. And then by the time that she finally starts to feel... Because, like, he seems to actually love... Like, he says that basically immediately he realised that Rebecca was a mistake. And then with her, he's like, I just have been afraid that people would find out I killed her. So it seems like he does genuinely care for her. And by the time that she becomes confident, because she's like, well, I was never, inferior to Rebecca. I was just... he was shy because he had murdered her. Like, she suddenly becomes very confident. And I think when she stops being a wet blanket, I started to really like it and be like, oh, I need to read more. And oh my god, I think I said to you, like, I finished reading it at a really weird place. And it was the day that I finished reading it and I was, like, starving. So I had to have my dinner. But it was when he'd just gone, I killed her.
And you were like, oh, right, I've got to have something to eat now, and it's actually got good. And I'm like, right, okay.
Because it did suddenly just really pick up. It did, especially, like, the Mrs. Danvers stuff. I have so many feelings about Mrs. Danvers, actually.
Yeah, I will say what I really liked is the fact that Rebecca, we never see Rebecca, like, we never see any chapters from her perspective. All we hear about is all the characters' view of them. So, like, with Mrs. Danvers, how she adored her cousin, I can't remember the name of him, but how he, Maxim, yeah. You've got Maxim, how he views her as almost evil in a way. So she's got this... she's malicious.
I will say, like, I honestly don't necessarily blame him for killing her, which probably sounds really awful, but, like, the way that Mrs. Danvers described her, like, Mrs. Danvers loved her, right? And yet she was, like, describing how she abused physically a horse and, like, how she would just, like, hate everybody. She hated everybody. But, like, it's not like presumably she wasn't some kind of, like, a person with a disorder that made her that way, because she loved Mrs. Danvers. So she was capable of loving people. It just was that she hated everybody.
She was a very complicated character, which was interesting. But I just think Maudie's done a really good job about... They call it haunting the narrative.
Yeah. And
it's just a really good job.
It was a really good job because the main character think the thing is, like, this goes back to what I was saying about how he kind of seems to be in love with his new wife. He very genuinely, like, there's such a large amount of foreshadowing about, like, the woman that she works for. We have this woman at the very beginning who she works for as, like, a companion. But I don't really understand that, to be honest. Like, imagine being so wealthy that you pay somebody to accompany you everywhere, even though you clearly don't like that person. Like,
Yeah, I did think that was a bit weird. Why didn't she just make her a servant or something? That would have been a bit more interesting.
yeah, it was really weird. And, like, I mean, it was probably a real thing, but also, like, okay. But I liked that that woman was like, he doesn't really love you, he just doesn't want to be in the house alone. And then it's kind of implied later on that that's not true, and that actually the reason why he's been so distant is because he's committed this crime and he's afraid that his wife is going to hate him afterwards, basically. And that people are going to find out, which they do, but it doesn't go to public eye because there's no real evidence, luckily for him. But I think it's really interesting that this whole time, even she, like, accepts that her husband doesn't love her and that she's just this replacement and that all she is somebody to fill the empty house. And then within a matter of hours, she finds out the truth, and it's like this whole new woman. And again, I love this. I love that because every single time that she would be like, yeah, I'll eat what you think, or, oh, well, these decorations were put here by the old Mrs. De Winter. And every single time I was just like, get a grip, woman. Come on. Like, you're not that young, please. Just make a decision, okay? And she, like, oh my god, the scene where there were, like, I think lilacs, maybe? And she brings these lilacs in and is like, oh, I think if we move that table over to the window and put them there, and then the guy's like, oh, well, the old Mrs. De Winter always put them there. And she's like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll put them there then. And it's like, well, please do something. Have some agency of your own.
Yeah, instead of just like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. But then when she does have agency, she does the same thing that Rebecca did.
Literally.
Like the Halloween. Is it the costume party? Is it Halloween or is it just?
It's not even Halloween. It's just like a costume party. And do you know what? I was like, the whole time, I was like, why are you trusting a recommendation from Mrs. Danvers? Why the hell would you do that?
Oh yeah, the casual racism in that bit. Do you remember that bit threw me off? I was like, oh yeah, this book came out in the 30s. Yeah.
Because as well, I will say, like, that really threw me off because it was like, it wasn't even one type of racism. There was like the mention of them wearing like an Arabian Nights. I'm being generous with the way I'm describing it, by the way, for listeners. It's described as like an Arabian Nights style costume, which, to be fair to him, it's authentic from the place. Not to be fair to him, he does do brownface, especially because this was when India was still, for example, under colonial rule of England. But it as well, Maxim, as like a joke, and I didn't laugh at this at all. I was just staring in shock, like, why would you say that? Because these are wealthy people. These are like upper classes, very rich, you know. Let's just throw a ball in our home, which is big enough for that. And he's just like, oh, don't dress up like a black person, ha ha ha.
Oh yeah, the minstrel show reference. I was like,
and he even
okay.
like uses the word monkey in his description, which like,
yeah,
as if it wasn't.
I as soon as I read that, I went, right, okay. I know what that means. I was just like, yep, book came out in the 30s. I've got to take it with a thing of nuance.
Gotta remember.
It's interesting though, but the attitude at that time, it does reflect the time period.
And I will say as well, because I think I sent this to you, the book that I'm reading at the moment is a non-fiction book about paratroopers in the Second World War, and one of the people in this book, it's mentioned that he is the husband of Daphne Du Maurier. So like, even during the Second World War, colonialism was huge. There was a lot of stuff during the Second World War that happened directly as a result of the British Empire and the sort of repercussions of that. And so I think it is pretty impossible to separate the book from its time period in that regard, especially like if you're writing about upper class people. A lot of upper class people will have gotten their start in not very good ways. Whether that was directly through like slavery and the slave trade, or through just generally like military histories and stuff. Like it is impossible, but it was really uncomfortable. Like every single time that there was a mention, I was just like, oh god.
It's interesting because it's so slight as well, because the rest of the book they're just like, oh, Rebecca, like most
Nothing happens in the like there's no sly racism at all until like that point, to my knowledge.
So yeah, which is why I think it's just like a normal thing, because that's how people would have just spoke.
It was so casual that it was like, if it genuinely shocked me, and it did remind me like, okay, yeah, definitely. Because as well, I think the book is set in like the early 20th century.
I think so. The book came in 1938.
I feel like
it's set in the
1920s. Because it definitely mentions like Edwardian fashion being out of date, I think. So it's definitely like between the 1920s and 1940s. Like I think it's like late 1920s maybe that it's supposed to be set.
So yeah, the book came out in 1938. So, but they're driving in cars, which is why I think
and cars.
It's set in the 1930s. I was about to say, because I think during the 30s, cars started to become more popular with the richer classes, because they drive a lot, don't they? And I think in the 20s they weren't using cars that much. Yeah, they drive. There's a lot of mention of driving
as well. The cars that are mentioned are like, they seem to be quite because there's a mention of how this one person has a quite fancy car. I think it's Favreau. His car is mentioned to be quite flashy. So you wouldn't describe a car as flashy, really, from like the 90s. Like a really old car. They weren't like flashy. They weren't like sports cars. Whereas I think that they're supposed to be. Let me look up 1930s sports cars.
I mean, they weren't exactly.
Yeah, like they're a bit fancier than
Ford Deluxe Ford
from like the 1920s. I will say that, like in the 1920s, a car was just. It was really difficult to get them looking like anything other than Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, basically they didn't have roofs.
Yeah, that was it. Whereas these ones definitely look a bit more.
Oh wait, no, some of them do. Hang on, that one has a roof.
A bit more flash.
In 1934, the Deluxe Ford has got a roof. And the 1930 book series 40 Phantom has a roof.
I definitely think a modern adaptation would have them in like an old Ferrari. Or like a Porsche. But
I don't think this book would work as a modern tale.
No, because again, the woman is very.
It's a product of its time.
Yeah, and the social dynamic is very important. The class. A lot of it is that Rebecca was supposedly, everybody loves Rebecca. Everybody thinks that she's so refined and elegant. And as well, she even thinks that Beatrice kind of, Maxim's sister, she's like, oh, she clearly thinks that I'm not as beautiful. Oh my god. And like so many people are like, you should do something with your hair. And she's just like, this poor woman. I can't imagine the pressure that she was under. And to have all of the staff, every single member, like laughing at her behind her back and thinking that she's... Because that's her perception, is that everyone hates her.
But no, it's only Mrs. Danvers that hates her.
Yeah. And you know what? The scene with Mrs. Danvers where...
Oh, where she's holding her over the edge of the cliff. Not the edge of the cliff, edge of the balcony.
She's like, oh, just jump. I won't push you, but jump. And it's like, that scene was so well written with the fog. And like, okay, I can just imagine that scene in a film where it suddenly like it feels very close. Like you're in this huge room, this really fancy room, but all of a sudden the fog closes in. She can't even see the floor that she would hit if she was to jump out this window. Like, and she's got this woman who's holding onto her and like leaning really close. The creepiness of it is just so good, honestly. I feel like it did a really good job of creating the tension. And I will say, like, Daphne Du Maurier also wrote The Birds, which I do want to read. I haven't seen the film. All my knowledge of the film The Birds comes from In Schitt's Creek, where they do, like, it's a rip-off of The Birds. I think it's called, like, The Ravens.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard of that book, you know.
It's because it's Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, I've heard of the film.
Yeah, but she wrote I think it's a novella, because the cover's really cool as well. It's the same like series as the copies that we have of Rebecca, and it's literally, it uses birds to create. Let me send this to you, because this is like,
Okay.
like, I think that's really cool and clever.
Daphne Du Maurier, The Birds. Yeah, that is. It's a bit annoying to look at, but that is a clever way.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily work, but I like that they tried. Because I think Rebecca. Let me Google Daphne Du Maurier.
And other stories. So I think it's like just a collection of short stories then.
Well, I think it's like, she also wrote My Cousin Rachel, which is a romance between two cousins. I will say that. Foreshadowing.
What is with the thing and cousins? And well, it was a common thing back then, wasn't it?
The law to make it illegal was fighting.
I'm sorry. What? I wouldn't.
So The Birds and Other Stories came out in 1952.
Right.
And then she wrote Jamaica Inn in 1936, which I think was her. It wasn't her first book, but it's a very
No, but I
famous
think
one
that's her most popular. That's the one I know that she wrote.
So she's written quite a few creepy books at that time. I will give like that context, because I do think that's important to acknowledge that, you know, yes, this was really creepy, and I did enjoy when it got a bit more like crimey. I think to begin with, as you said, it felt more like a romance where this was like a fish out of water, you know, young woman who didn't really know what she was doing, whose husband wasn't around that much. And then it very suddenly, the scene happens at the ball where she comes out dressed identical to the way that Rebecca had the year that she died. And everything suddenly just takes a big a dive, and you think, oh my god, what's happening? Everything's gone wrong. And then the ship crashes, and like a ship crashing on a really foggy day after she's just been threatened by Mrs. Danvers.
Yes, it's like, all right, I'm having the best day of my life.
It really, like, everything happened. And then her husband is like, I murdered Rebecca. And then she's like, but you loved Rebecca. And he's like, God, no, I didn't. And she's like, oh, yay! Perspective queen, please. Like,
do better.
She, like, I get it, but also it is really funny to me how she just kind of is like, oh no, my husband's gonna go to prison. Like, okay. But I really liked it. I liked how it took off from that point, which I think was about the halfway point, I will say.
Yeah.
So it picked up, it got way better. And I'll say, like, now, I think that when you reread it, well, I might never reread it, but I also may. I think that there is a lot of stuff that you could see as foreshadowing, and like the context of it changes when you've become aware of the ending of the story. Especially like the opening pages. I feel like, to begin with, I kind of figured that maybe they could have just gotten like a divorce, or they could have moved away to start somewhere fresh, especially with him. I guess with him like being a criminal, they could have like fled to another country on a boat. You know, they could have like taken a boat out to France or something in the middle of the night. But in the end, the house burns down.
I like how subtle that was.
Yeah, like you know,
It was so
something's happening
subtle.
because
Yeah,
he's rushing.
do you know, I think Mrs. Danvers set it on fire.
Oh, I fully believe that. Yeah, because it's like
Because she knows the truth.
Maxim gets the call that Mrs. Danvers has packed up and left, I think is what happens. And then he's like, I don't think we should stay in London. I think we should go home right away. You sleep, I'm gonna drive. But then she has nightmares. And then they see a fire in the distance and they just know. And there's nothing that can be done, really. And you know that there's nothing that can be done, because with a house of that size in the middle of the night in the 1930s, there's no way that the fire brigade would be able to get... Because she's literally mentioned as well, like, that at that point, her first visit, she takes, like, what seems like a decade to get down the driveway. So there's no way that they are getting enough water to that house quickly enough. Like, even if they use the ocean water, there's just no way.
No.
So...
No. And then it's kind of like a cliffhanger, really, isn't it? You don't know what's going to happen now. What do they do? They've lost all their fortune, pretty much.
And I kind of love that, because, like, they were supposed to be living happily ever after, because people know that he's killed her, but they can't prove it, and they're willing to accept that Rebecca clearly was going to die anyway. She was probably better off being killed rather than dying naturally the way that she was going to, because, like, clearly as well, like, he says this, and as soon as it was revealed that she was ill rather than pregnant, which was, I will be honest, I was quite surprised by that.
It's different.
Yeah, I think that they could have had it be a bit more obvious, and they didn't. And I really liked that. And I think there was a part of me that was like, well, how do they know? Like, what if they just say that she was probably going to die? Like, what if they just use that excuse? But also, then that ended up actually being true, and I was like, oh, okay. So
do you know what made me... You know, when they go find the doctor, what I found really funny was, like, it's just so easy. She went to go have a doctor's appointment, and they just found him so easily. Like, now, that would take freaking weeks to do something like that.
Oh, sorry, call us back.
Yep.
But it was really good, the way that they did that, and the way that they set it up, and, like, the way that the man, the, like, detective guy is like, yeah, maybe I should go with you, because he doesn't trust him anymore. And then he knows that he's done it, but they're civil with each other, because this is a gentleman, okay? And Favreau, who is Rebecca's cousin, he's a drunk, and he's a very abrasive guy. So we hate this guy because he's not us. And it very much was like the class system in effect, where it's like, yeah, you killed your wife, but okay, whatever, I'm willing to look past it, let's move on. Like, okay. But then Mrs. Danvers, I think it's definitely true that, like, she packs up and leaves, and then she sets it on fire because she's like, well, if no one else is going to do anything, I will.
Yeah. She was... I suppose, is she a villain, though, or not? She feels like a villain, but she isn't in a way.
Do you know why I think she kind of is? Purely because she villainizes this woman who marries this man, and she terrorizes her in her own home, and she does so, and she does that to also Maxim before she realizes that he killed her. Like, she doesn't realize until the very end that that's what's happened, but she still is, like, wanting this young woman who's done nothing wrong to kill herself, and like trying to ruin their marriage and whatnot. And I just think that's it. She's not a villain in the sense that like she's done a great deal, but also, to be fair, she did commit arson, and unless she told all of the other people in the house to get out, we don't know whether or not people are alive. Like, we have no idea. And that's their
like the
livelihoods as
butler
well.
and stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
that's where they worked, that's where they lived, I'm pretty sure. So like, what do those people do? Like, she was quite selfish, I think. She wasn't necessarily the worst person ever, but she was like very much like, the things that she did were, I think, you can't excuse them. Like, no matter how awful what happened to this person that you love was, you can't just ruin the lives of like 50 people or however many people work there. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of complicated, isn't it? It's no one's really good in this.
No, it's it kind of raises the issue, like, no one is inherently evil.
Yeah.
I think because the idea of good and evil obviously is rooted in Christianity. So I'm just going to have a random tangent here. I saw a video and I can't remember who it was by, and he was talking about Studio Ghibli, and I think it was like who has better villains, I think, or characters.
Yeah.
Something like that, or how they deal with characters, and it was like Disney versus Studio Ghibli, and the guy was talking about how in Christianity, like, a lot of, we have like the 3-act structure, don't we? And how some stories will have a villain, and you know that they're a villain, and they have no redemption, essentially, because the idea of evil, you are able to see evil rooted in everything.
Yeah.
And then which because we like the idea of being able to see something. And then with Studio Ghibli, because there is roots in Shintoism, which is completely different to Christianity. I don't know that much about Shintoism, but obviously they believe that there's a god in everything. And the guy was talking about how there's no real villain in Studio Ghibli films. Like, you know, Howl's Moving Castle, The Wicked Witch of the Waste, how she gets redeemed, she gets redemption, she gets treated with kindness.
Yeah.
There's this idea that people, even if they do wrong, can be redeemed. And I feel like that's such an interesting approach, because I felt like that was kind of the approach that a lot of people are taking on now. Obviously, you still have your...
Sorry. I like fully agree with your point, and I think that in Rebecca specifically, Rebecca is shown to have multiple affairs and to sometimes get a bit drunk and to use like you know, a lot of things that are shamed in Christianity. And then also, she compared to the main character who doesn't have a name. The main character is like blonde. I'm pretty sure that's canon in the book, but it's definitely true.
I had a feeling I felt like she was blonde.
Yeah, I think she was, because she was described as the opposite of Rebecca. Rebecca, who is supposed to have a full figure, who is supposed to have dark hair. Like, I think Rebecca is one of those characters who is supposed to be like the personification of dangerous femininity and seductiveness, you know? And like, I think that fully clicks with the idea that this young woman is pure and naive, and she's, you know, this young blonde woman who is described as not being anything special. You know, she's plain Jane, more modest. And then you have to compare with that this woman who is her opposite, who is like treated as a villain, not necessarily just because she is suggested to be very rude to like everybody and to, I guess, be like, you know, the thing for me that really stood out was the way that she was with the horse, and that the horse came back like bleeding, because rather than take a horse that was more docile, she chose to force this horse into submission through violence against it. And like, when you take that sort of imagery, it feels like she is supposed to be this villain who again haunts the narrative, and she's the enemy of the main character whose head we're in. And so I feel like it's the same sort of thing where it's like Christianity, it shames these people, but then it, we've got these two people who are on opposite ends of it. I don't know if that makes sense, but like...
No, yeah, it's. I mean, because that's the way modern storytelling is. But what I was going to say is like obviously and you have your villains in anime and manga, but even then, I think there's some manga that I've read, the villains tend to become allies. So I think there's still roots of Shintoism in manga.
Yeah. And even, do you know what? I'll say, like, Marvel did this with some of their villains, where they kind of flipped it on its head and had it be, like, redemption. Because I think that the more popular that, like, those stories get, and I think Avatar: The Last Airbender is a really famous one, where, like, this... I think is his name Zuko? I've not watched it. But, like...
You need to watch it. You will love it. I can't believe you never... You would. Honestly, you would love it. Zuko, he's one of the most beloved characters of all time, and his character arc, it is one of the best character redemptions. Spoiler, well, I mean, it's not a spoiler, because that's what... It's how it does it, but... you need to watch it.
I think that, like, it's become more popular to have your villains be humanized, And I think, I believe personally that part of that is because we, as a society, have started to confront the fact more and more that the people who do awful things aren't monsters. They're not inhuman just because they do awful things. They are
It's
human.
the fact that they are human, which is scarier.
Yeah, and that we need to actually confront that if we're going to avoid it. And so I think that Rebecca is shown kind of caricature sort of level of evil in like a woman's body, and then even Mrs. Danvers. I mean, I've got a picture up right now from I think the 1940 version where Mrs. Danvers is talking to the woman and the woman looks very much like I described, like this very plain Jane sort of, the way that she's described in the book, where it's like she is clearly supposed to be average. And I think Lily James played her in the new one in Rebecca. And I don't think that she's a good choice because I think that she's supposed to look kind of beige, which is, everyone tells her that. And Lily James is like famously very beautiful, but
oh, it was made by Alfred Hitchcock as well.
Yes, I saw that. I think that's really interesting. It's like Stephen King and Frank Darabont.
I mean, this was like the time where he was kind of the GOAT, wasn't he? Of like the golden age of Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked at the picture. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, she's definitely how I kind of pictured.
And Mrs. Danvers is perfect.
Yeah, that is literally what I had in my head.
The exact outfit, the hairstyle, the face, like everything is so well done. And I think it really is like, you get this, like it uses caricatures to make you feel like you know what's happening.
But we don't.
And then everything sort of shifts. Like, and there's like, it's not like it comes out of nowhere because it is foreshadowed. And I think that's what I was saying about like me potentially rereading it at some point, because especially those opening pages, I think that the context of like her having a happy marriage, but a marriage that is plagued by problems because of what happened before the marriage like happened, I think it would make that a little bit less boring to read, because I agree that it was very slow. It was a slow start.
Yeah, slow. But that's not it. I'll tell you what, let's talk about Mrs. Danvers for a second.
Yes.
The scene where she goes to, is it the west wing of the house?
And Mrs. Danvers is just...
She's like standing there menacingly, like, here, touch Rebecca's dress. It's what she wore when she died.
She used to do this thing.
Try it on. She was so tall, so much taller than you. It's like, Okay, did she have an obsession? It's a bit. That's when
You
you're
felt
like,
her
"That
pajamas.
was a bit of a freak."
That's why the thing is, like, I didn't like Mrs. Danvers as a person, because, like, why are you doing that? Why?
I didn't like it from the beginning. I was like, yeah, she's gonna be a bit weird.
And it, like, because it goes from just disapproval to you are nothing compared to my mistress, okay? You are dead to me because she is dead, and I will never forgive that. Even when she thinks it's an accident, she's like, I am going to make this man pay for
She's
marrying
still like,
another
Rebecca
woman.
will never leave.
And, like, the thing about, like, her keeping this room perfect, as if she's gonna come back to it. Oh my god. Like, it's just so creepy.
Reminds me a bit of Mrs. Havisham in the wedding dress.
See, I feel like her character, and I think it's why it's so easy to picture her. She is such like a classic character from this era of fiction, of the like,
The crazed
house
housekeeper.
mistress, the governor, who is just, it wears black and is very prim and very old compared to a lot of the characters, and just is so like menacing always.
Well, when you think about it, you know, Mexican Gothic, the woman, the
Yes.
wife, same caricature.
Literally. I think
Exactly
that
the
it's
same.
such a good character because you instantly know the vibes. And it works, especially in I will say this is one of the best examples of this I've ever had. The whole time I was like, oh, this is so, like, is she gonna actually commit murder? Like, you never quite know because she's a bit of a
That
wild
would have
card.
been
She
that would have
goes,
been a very different book.
literally, like, at the drop of a hat, she'll be like, and this is where he brushed her hair, and he loved her, and they were very close. And then it's like, did you want me to make dinner?
But, you know, I've just had a mental spiral. But yeah,
Got a bit. It's literally like she has these sort of spells of darkness where she comes into not an anger, but like a nihilistic sort of state of like, and this is the way that life used to be, and it will never be that way again. And I'm not going to let you enjoy life because it should have never been this way. Like, it should have been the way it was. And I'm going to make you pay for that. And how about you go jump out the window now and save us all the trouble? Like, it's so creepy. It's so good.
it makes you wonder, right? If she was having such a miserable time, why was she still there? Because she came with Rebecca, didn't she?
Yeah. I honestly, like, I believe
Why was she
fully
still there?
that she believed that she was, like, acting on Rebecca's behalf.
Oh, to
that's
keep order,
my-
essentially.
Yeah, and to kind of, you know, the fact that the husband, she mentions that she wants him punished because she thinks that he moved on too fast and he kind of didn't really react and he ran away instead of being there. And I think that she sees it as like, as long as she's there, the house will always have Rebecca's spirit in it. And she can't leave it. Maybe she genuinely believes that Rebecca is there still, and that she, because I'm pretty sure, does she tell the main character that like Rebecca haunts the house, and then she's like, do you sense her sometimes behind you?
Behind the
like
tree.
can hear her walking around or something. And so like I think maybe
Yeah.
she just doesn't want to leave her. Like maybe she's in denial or like some kind of, I feel like maybe she's in some kind of psychosis. Because you don't just set fire to a house.
Yeah.
What was your, I guess, because you wanted to talk about it, and I mean we both did, because she's a huge character. But like, what was like your, I guess, biggest thing about her?
It's just that scene when she's holding her over the balcony. I think that was the most memorable part. But then it's also like the way she just, you can tell she doesn't like her immediately. Just when they first meet in this like
Disdain.
Mrs. De Winter describes like the scorn that she feels towards her, and it's like, yeah, she's gonna be a recurring character then.
Yeah, you get very quickly that like this is a problem in the making. even okay, I loved the descriptions of the main character and the way that it contrasted with Rebecca's, where again Rebecca is described as being this sort of much more full-bodied woman who fits in her clothes perfectly. And then you have the main character who, when she first arrives at the house, she's wearing this fair coat and it kind of hangs off her a bit limply. And she's got these gloves that she's holding and they're a bit like awkward. And I think she drops one or something. And like, you get the vibe very quickly that she may have been married to this man for a few weeks, but she is still new money. She is not the elegant, timeless woman that she is expected to be by herself, but also by like the people that he knows, the people that they have to entertain as neighbours in this community. And I feel like Mrs. Danvers really does everything she can to make that more obvious. And I feel so bad for her, honestly. Like, she didn't do anything wrong.
No, she's just come into this place and like, oh, I'm all really isolated.
Yeah. And she is supposed to be, I think she's like 25, maybe? Is that how old she is?
She's young. She's in her 20s because I don't actually know how old was Rebecca because obviously Maxim is like 40.
Well, I think
because
Rebecca was older. I think she was about his age because it was mentioned that Rebecca was getting older and that but she didn't have like grey hair and stuff yet. I think it's mentioned that she like...
So she might have been in her 30s then.
Yeah. More age appropriate because I think that's the thing is, again, they are described repeatedly as being like opposites of like, oh, you're not what I expected somebody more like Rebecca.
No, because they do mention about how young she is quite a few times, don't they?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I'm so old.
When he's 40, it's like, really? You're not old. I mean, I suppose back then that might have been seen as old, but 40, come on.
Yeah, like, especially because she is... I think she's supposed to be like mid-20s. Like...
I feel like she was a bit younger than that, but I don't actually know.
See, I'm counting mid-20s as like 24, 23 as well.
Yeah.
Because I think she's young and he is like a bit old, like by modern standards you would say it's a little bit weird.
She's in her early 20s.
But like it's not that bad. Like 20 years really in the grand scheme of things. The worst thing about him is that he killed his ex. Like, let's be real. That's...
In the film, she's 21-ish, or 22, something like that.
Okay.
He's 42.
See, like, that's not too bad. Like, for a grown woman, you know? I think it would be a little bit less weird if he wasn't so wealthy and she wasn't so poor.
I would say, I have the feeling she was more middle class than anything.
Yeah, I mean, she has a pretty good position.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because if she was working class, she'd be a servant, and then she's working as a companion, and then obviously the middle class. Well, I mean, it came from the 1800s, isn't it? So it was sort of a new thing still. Yeah. The idea of the middle class. So
I think class systems were very much like you're either rich or you're poor, and then they became more nuanced as technology created a different sort of divide. Like, for example, the cars, like a poor person at that point might not have had any car. A wealthy person might have had a very expensive car, but an even wealthier person might have multiple cars. Like, and then the huge driveway for it, you know, purpose-built sort of thing. Because it is mentioned, I think, that some of them have, like, carriages. Some people.
Yeah.
So
it's a mix of...
That's the thing as well, is it's described that... How did you describe... Like, I called it Mandalay.
Mandalay. The hall.
Yeah.
Mandalay? I think that's right.
Like...
Mandalay. Yeah, Mandalay.
But the way that it was... I saw a trailer, I think, and it was described really weirdly. But like, okay, basically,
Was it? How to pronounce Mandalay?
I think
Okay,
they
there's
called it
someone pronouncing it
Mandalay.
here. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought they were going to pronounce it. It was just literally like when she meets
Not to.
Mrs.
But
The full minor was Mandalay.
I
Yeah, I
do
think it's
think
Mandalay.
that honestly, I've got a picture up of it, and it looks so much smaller than I thought it was. Like all of the pictures make it look way smaller than I expected, and not at all the way that I expected it to look.
I mean, it's fictional. It's not a real
Yeah.
place.
But it just like honestly, the vibe that I got was way different than it seems to have
It
been
seemed
every single.
maybe because we're in the main character's perspective and she's never been in something like that, she feels like it's big.
Well, see, this person, I think this is just a private blog. Oh, it was an actual building that she based it off of. And this building isn't the one that was used in the films, but it's the building that she, like, hang on. Mena Billy. M-E-N-A Billy. That actually looks more to me like the one that I was envisioning.
Mendabilly, let's have a look. How do you spell it?
M-E-N-A Billy.
M-E-N-A. Mendabilly.
But
In Milton Hall.
it definitely like has the better vibes to me of what I was expecting.
So she based Mendabilly. Yeah, I see
Like
it.
that's way better than the films used.
Might not have been able to get other places because they had to bring Milton Hall.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I pictured. Milton Hall. That's definitely what I thought because it seemed massive.
See, like it honestly, I feel like when you see Menabili and then you see this one, I feel like you get the vibes a lot better than the film put across. Like it's very the sort of the stone color, the sort of size, the uniformity of it almost. Like that's what I pictured. And I think it honestly, like I get that as a younger person who had never lived in a place like that, it would be very overwhelming. But it just it did it I feel like there is an imbalance there between them because of that. But also it's kind of interesting, I guess, that we get to see these descriptions of this place as being super duper I don't know why I said super duper, but of it being like this really fancy place that even other people who are wealthy and who attend like the ball, they seem to think that it's like the cream of the crop, you know? Like this is the place to be.
Mm.
And that's why they expect so much of her. Which is, it's quite sad, like from her perspective. I'm not gonna lie, maybe I was just hormonal, but I did have a bit of a cry.
No. It was definitely an interesting read. I definitely will check out more books by her, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to read The Birds, and then I'll probably, if I like that as well, I'll probably read. Because the thing that I get from The Birds is that, like, a book that I recently realised was a thing was Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption, which is a novella by Stephen King, which you can buy it on its own, but most commonly it's in a collection called, like, I think The Four Seasons, which is a collection of, like, longer form fiction than short stories. And I think that's what The Birds and Other Stories is. I think it's like 6, not quite novels, but like longer
Short stories.
you know? And I think that honestly I'm intrigued to see the way that her like more horror fiction is, because this was creepy and it was like very sort of tense, and it did a really good job at that, but I'm intrigued to see what she can do elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Well, she definitely helped with my dissertation, is all I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, I mean, well worth reading it. Honestly, I've had the book for like ages, like years at this point, and I'd never gotten around to it. And when I first began, weirdly enough, I was excited to read Catch 22. And I literally had Catch 22 out, and I put it away for Rebecca because we decided to do it. I liked Rebecca, and I rated it fairly highly. I DNF'd Catch 22.
I can't, I think I tried to read Catch 22 and I don't remember it at all. I think I read it for college and I just can't remember.
For me, I didn't like it because I didn't love the writing style. I didn't find it funny, and it is satire. So if you don't find it funny, it's just kind of annoying. And I went online and checked some reviews to see if I was missing something that was gonna pop up in 10 pages, and apparently, if you don't like it, you're not gonna like it because it doesn't have a plot that becomes apparent. It basically is just what it is. And I'd read 100 pages, so I was not sitting through 500 more pages. Sorry. And it's kind of annoying because it's set during the Second World War, I think. And I'm really enjoying reading about the Second World War right now because I'm in one of those phases where that's all I want to learn about. And yet the book just wasn't speaking to me. So I DNF'd it, and I'm kind of glad that you made me pick up Rebecca instead.
So yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I know. I love how we just go into phases about stuff. You're in a World War II phase. I'm in my One Piece phase at the moment.
Yeah. Honestly, the worst part is that you have to spend a lot of money sometimes.
Yeah, luckily I got gifted. I asked for the box sets for Christmas, so.
Yeah. We're set for a while. But honestly.
Oh yeah, I'm on volume 33. So, and there's 107 volumes, or 111 volumes, I think. So yeah, I've still got a while to go yet.
But honestly, I only started really reading nonfiction a year ago, and I'm kicking myself because why did I not? This is such a good way of getting in my nonfiction information. And
speaking of nonfiction, hang on. I don't read a lot of nonfiction either, unless it's a memoir. But I went to that bookstore yesterday.
Yeah.
I bought a book, and it's called The Freelancer's Writer's Survival Guide: The Pajama Myth by Sean Meades Williams.
Ooh.
And it sounds very interesting.
Let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what? We could... Well, I think this is quite difficult because we could maybe one day read, do a review of a bunch of writing books.
Yes.
Because I've read a few, and I think that some of them have been helpful, some of them haven't. And I think it depends as well what you want to get out of the writing books.
I'm so sorry if you just heard that crow.
Do you know what? I heard a noise, but I didn't know what it was because it was very faint.
It was a crow. It's a crow. I don't know why I decided to, Yeah, we could do that. Well, that's an idea.
Oh. Yeah. And as well, I will say that, I think... Does Stephanie... Am I, going insane? I might be thinking of a different writer. Actually. Did she ever write a non-fiction?
No idea.
I don't think she did, looking at it. I don't know who I was looking at. Or did she have, journals or something, actually?
Maybe she wrote letters or something, because it's Oscar Wilde, he wrote letters, didn't he, that people like to read.
Yeah. She wrote a book called Vanishing Cornwall. I don't know if that's even fiction. It's very... Because she lived in the book is set in Cornwall, Rebecca.
Wow.
Oh,
it might be...
This is quite sweet. Her son did the photographs for the book. Because it's about Cornwall. So he took pictures and she wrote about it. That's quite sweet. But she didn't write a book about writing. But there have been a bunch of Stephen King has one. Anne Lamott, I don't know how you say her name, but she wrote Bed by Bed. There's Murakami, he has a book. Margaret Atwood has one. Ray Bradbury, apparently. Although this is just looking. But yeah, there's a lot of writers' books about writing. And I think that I honestly kind of wish that she had done one because the way that she wrote was very atmospheric. Like, I'll say that now. I guess, what was your favourite thing about the book?
I think the setting, for
Yeah.
me, I mean, the characters, yeah, the main character's a bit annoying at times.
She gets
But the
better.
setting, yeah, she gets better, she's still annoying. But the setting, definitely, with the boathouse as well. We didn't mention the boathouse.
Oh, the salt. I can, like, the way that she described these, like, places, it was so vivid.
Yeah.
And it really was. That was my favorite thing, was the atmosphere that was created by all of these settings. And I loved the difference between the main character's beliefs about Mandalay, because I've said Mandalay. Ugh.
Mandalay.
She has this postcard from when she's a kid where she has it and she's like, oh, I would love to live there. And so it's like a prophecy, she believes, that, she was supposed to live there. But I think it's quite interesting to see her belief of what it'll be like versus the truth. And it's done so well. I just loved it. I loved the ocean stuff, the descriptions of like the salt and the water and the stains and stuff. Like, it's all just so good, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm kind of excited to read her other stuff, to see how her other
books go, yeah.
I
I really want to read Jamaica Inn.
Yeah, I'm quite curious about that. I feel like that's one I've seen a lot as well.
Mm.
Who knows? Maybe one day we'll review Jamaica Inn and whatnot.
Yes.
But anyway, we were quite chatty about
Yeah.
very few topics, but we talked about them.
I mean, there's a lot more stuff in this book that we could have covered, but I think the main part, we've mentioned it briefly, but yeah.
That's the thing about great literature, is that when you read it, you have so many feelings and thoughts. About like just one stupid little insignificant thing that you can talk about it for like an hour. So it's difficult to talk about it, but we are at the end of our time. Aww.
Yeah.
Next week we are talking about writing. Can't remember what specifically because my brain is mush.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but whatever it is, we'll be talking about our writing, and we hope you enjoyed. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.